So there's a song that's sort of been haunting me a little bit this week. It's a Jamie Lula song. It says, something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me, and I'm grateful like I've never been before. So I don't know, I think that we've all felt it maybe. I know I felt something calling me. Something calling me to a greater understanding of who I truly am. A greater expression of who I truly am. And as I've been talking the last few weeks about each and every one of us being the masterpiece of that great artist, I love the song that Lauren sang, the artist of my soul. And what I've been talking about is, I believe there is God, the divine life, energy, is the artist, the master artist of our souls. And our souls are the masterpiece of that creation. And our souls, I believe, are always calling us to a greater understanding and deeper connection with who we truly are. And then why is that important? Why is it important for us to listen to that calling of our souls? Because I really do believe that in remembrance of our souls, our souls are calling us to remembrance of ourselves, who we truly are. And as we are in remembrance of that, it's a consciousness of oneness, a consciousness of unity in the divine, in God. And as we know, as we teach, everything begins in consciousness. And so as we listen, as we join, as we remember our divine nature, we join in consciousness with that. And what's so important about that to me is that in that place of remembrance, we remember our wholeness. We remember our truth. And in that place of unity and oneness, everything is. Everything already is. We're no longer seeking. We're no longer asking. We have already received, and we know. And in that place of unity is our health, is our wealth, is our everything. And so, as we're listening, calling us into remembrance of itself, I love, one of my favorite stories from the Bible is the story of Moses. Metaphysically, metaphorically understood, where Moses is in that high place of consciousness on the mountain, and he hears that voice calling, Moses, Moses, come closer. Come closer. And so Moses listens and he comes closer. And the voice says, take off your shoes. The place you stand is holy ground. Take off your shoes. I think that's similar to Jesus saying, take up your cross. Take off what binds you to this earth plane. Let it go. Stand on holy ground and listen to my voice. Listen to me calling you. And then Moses said, well, who are you? I am that I am. That I am is your Christ nature, your divine nature. Our divinity is calling us. So the voice was not saying to Moses, really, I am, but it was saying, I am, you are, I am. But what did Moses then say? Who, me? I'm not smart. I'm not a good speaker. I don't know how to do this. And I think that's what happens with us, isn't it? We feel the calling. We hear the voice saying, I am you. Your soul is calling you. My soul is calling me to step out. And yet, I'm saying, I'm busy. I got a church to manage. I got things to do. I don't have time to listen to that. How many of you have argued with that voice? That I'm not enough. I don't know enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not educated enough. I'm not thin enough. I'm not young enough. All the ways we argue with our divine self. But I think our self is calling us to let go of those ways that we define ourselves and to be present for the I am. Because I believe our I am, our divine nature, is held for us in perfection. This perfect idea in the mind of God. We talk about God sometimes as the mind, divine mind. But I think sometimes that can limit us because we think of mind. We talk about science of mind and the law of mind, and it's all about how we think. And sometimes I think we subscribe to that idea that I think, therefore I am. And I think sometimes we get lost in that. But that divine idea is held for us, and we are also held, I believe, in the heart of God, the heart of the divine, which is love. We are held in the place of unconditional love. You are held in the consciousness of unconditional love. You are held in the consciousness of unconditional love. You are held in the consciousness of unconditional love. What does that mean? It means love without condition. Love without condition. That you are loved right where you are. You are held in that energy of love. And I think we are being called to hold ourselves in that place of unconditional love. I'm still working on it. Sometimes I think, well, if I do enough, then I'm lovable. If I don't say the wrong thing, and if I don't offend somebody, I'm lovable. If I'm thin enough, I'm lovable. All of those things that I put conditions on to be lovable. And I don't know if you do that or not. I'm guessing that most of us do. But what I find about that is that when I hold that condition for myself, I'm also holding it for you. And so I'm also creating that idea that that I can withhold love. We are all held in love, and so it's important for us, I think, to remember that. And there are no conditions to that love of God. Now, that doesn't mean you might not want to change something in your life. It might mean that you don't want to be in relationship with somebody in your life. It doesn't mean you have to accept everything without wanting to change it. But imagine what the difference in enacting change in your life from a place of love rather than from a place of fear and resistance. Changing, loving myself right where I am. I was just thinking about that this week, and I was reminded of that old Baptist song we used to sing, "Just as I am, without one plea." Did anybody remember that song but me? Just as I am. Love myself just as I am. And from that place of love and value and connection, then if I want to change something, change it from there, not from a place of fear and resistance. So I believe our souls are calling us to the remembrance of itself as us, and our understanding that I am that, and our willingness to be held in that place of unconditional love, and to allow ourselves to be present in that space of unconditional love. But I also believe that our souls are calling us to the embodiment of that divinity. You know, it's okay, it's okay, and we feel okay about, I can claim it in my head, I can say I am that, I can feel that love, but I can feel it within me, I can claim it within me, but am I willing, through my speech, through my actions, through everything I do, to be the embodiment of that divinity? And I think that's what we're being called to do. Because I believe we are being called to the remembrance of our souls so that we, individually and collectively, can live love in a more expansive and meaningful way. I think ultimately that is what Jesus was here to teach us. Not only that you are that you are loved, but that it is ours to do to be love in the world. What did he say is the greatest commandment? To love God, to love your neighbor as yourself. And everything else hinges on that. And so as we come into the awareness, a remembrance of love as our truth, and that it is ours to live it, to be it, to share it, to walk in that truth, and to do what is ours to do, to create a world of love that works for all people. And so today I'm reminded of those who really, I believe, from a place of connection with what they value. What we value as expressions of love, which this country, the United States of America, was actually founded on. Expressions of that divine love, which include freedom and liberty and justice, equality for all people. All people. All people. Should I say that again? All people. And I believe that those who believe in those values take those values to heart and make sacrifices to live those values. Men and women who give their lives for that. Or can be examples to us if we hold that is love in action. Letting go of any other judgment that we might have about it in the moment, but just be present with knowing, centering our knowing in what we value as divine love being expressed in the world through these actions. And we value those. We remember those today who sacrificed, who really gave their lives to live love and to be standing in the truth of what they believed. What they believed to be what they needed to do. To support those values of freedom, liberty, justice, and equality for all people. I don't think that we're all called to sacrifice our lives for those values, but we are all called, I believe, to embody those values and to stand for those values through our speech, through our actions, because it is up to us. It is up to us. Because they made the sacrifice, right? For what? For what? Not so that we could just dwell in our own privilege, in our own individual freedom and liberty and justice, but so that we could stand for justice and liberty and equality for all people. We are the ones who are here today. We are the ones who get to be the living example. We are the ones who are the legacy. We are the ones to bring that world into being as we remember our truth, our divinity, be willing to let go of our limitation, be willing to know that we are always, forever held in that place of unconditional love. And we are here to embody that truth. And so today, we're invited to that place of remembrance of ourselves, of our loved ones who embodied and lived that truth as they served and died. And I'm going to invite us also to honor those who live those values, who may not have died in service to our country, but who live those values, and those values are meaningful to us. So today is a day of remembrance. Remembrance. Not worshiping someone else. Sort of like I've said very often, Jesus never said, worship me, he said, follow me. Those who have gone before us, I don't think would ever say, worship me, hold on to me. I think they would say, remember the values that I lived. Embody those values for yourself and live those values. I want to share a reading with you, and I'm going to read a line, and then I would like for you to respond with the phrase, "We remember them." At the rising of the sun and at its going down, we remember them. At the blowing of the wind and the chill of winter, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us. We remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joy we crave to share, we remember them. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them. When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us, and we remember them. Thank you. So I just light this candle in honor of all of those who are no longer with us on this earthly plane that we remember. And I want to invite us to these are, if you're Catholic, you know what these are, but invite you to light the stick. We'll try to avoid dripping of wax today, and I'm going to light this candle, but I would invite you just to light the candle. And if somebody is right behind you, you may want to pass it. But if not, just put it back in the sand and let them pick it out. And then what I'm suggesting is light your stick from this candle or that candle. And we have 4 sections, so my vision is that we can have 4 people at a time up here lighting candles. 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 there. So these candles are lit in honor of your loved ones who have embodied and embraced, lived for, and maybe have died for the principles of liberty and freedom, justice and equality. So there's no real order, so just come up as you are ready. So I invite you to take a moment and breathe deeply into the light of God that is represented here in your remembrance of those who lived those values of freedom and liberty and justice, oneness, unity. I invite you just to breathe it in as you embody for yourself that light deep in your heart. And just feel every cell of your body coming alive in a new awareness, a renewed awareness of the light of God that you are in every aspect of your being. And just breathe into that for a moment. Allow whatever is present for you just to be in the safety, the love of this space. Know that you are loved. You are forever held as a perfect idea in the mind of God. You are forever embraced in the energy of unconditional love in the heart of God. And you are that expression, divine masterpiece that God created, perfect, whole, and complete.